Okay. So, hi everyone. Today I'm happy to have the opportunity to interview Sundi Jo. Hi, Sundi Jo.
Hi, how are you?
Good. It's good to have you here.
Thank you for having me.
Oh, you're welcome. She's a speaker and author, a blogger, inspiring women to break free from self-destructive behaviors so they can learn to love themselves and experience lasting transformation. Sundi Jo has survived sexual abuse, a broken relationship with her alcoholic father. She's faced abandonment, fear, pride, and a food addiction, and much more. And God has given her a testimony to share with others seeking hope. And this also includes a 145-pound weight loss, which is amazing.
Yeah.
She has written about all of this and more in her memoir, Dear Dad, which you can find on Amazon. And she blogs at sundijo.com, where she offers hope and leads others to experience a transforming relationship with Jesus while helping people to take the next right step in their everyday lives. So, Sundi Jo, what an awesome story you have, really. I'm just, I read Dear Dad, and I actually really loved the perspective. Like, it's like you're talking to your dad the whole way through. Mm-hmm. And, I mean, what a unique way, a unique take, I guess, on telling your story.
Yeah, it was a little bit of a challenge, but it was, I'm happy with it, with the way it turned out.
Yes. Oh, it was good. I couldn't put it down.
Good.
Yeah. Yeah.
Makes me happy.
Yeah. No, it's really good. Well, do you mind sharing your incredible story with everyone listening today?
Sure, you bet. I always tell people if there were two words to describe my life, it would be gritty redemption. Because God has brought me through a lot. He's redeemed me from so much, but in the process of that, it was gritty and hard and sometimes really ugly, and just how it is for everybody. And as you said before, I went through a lot of things as a child. I was sexually abused, starting at age 4, and my parents were divorced when I was 3 years old, and so I kind of struggled with. I didn't know then I struggled with abandonment issues. I didn't know that until many years later, but my dad was in and out of my life. He was a severe alcoholic, and so I always struggled with that. What have I done wrong? Why am I such a bad person? If I could do something different, my dad would love me more than alcohol, so you go through that whole tennis match back and forth. And I was raped as a teenager, and I just kind of I just had a lot of stuff going on in life, and I was an angry kid, because I didn't understand why these things were happening. I was a good secret keeper. I didn't tell anybody, because that's what most sexual abuse victims do. They don't tell anybody. And food was a big coping mechanism for me, especially as I got older, into my teenage years and older. It was a way to, I used it for several different reasons. It was a way to protect myself, number one, because the bigger I got, the more people would leave me alone, especially men. And, and I had this huge hate for men and fear of men. But I also, it was also a coping mechanism for me. When I had emotional, when I was sad, I would eat. When I was happy, I would eat. When, just whatever, food, consumed me. And of course, I tried everything else, alcohol, drugs, every other coping mechanism you could think of. But food was my biggest go-to. And so by the time I was 24, I weighed 330 pounds. I was miserable. But I thought I had it all together, because I liked to be in control. And I just then it was in 2009 that I just kind of hit my rock bottom, I guess you could say, and life finally just came bubbling up, and everything come bubbling up, and God said, no more hiding it, time to deal with it. And so God just pretty much knocked me off my feet and said, we're gonna get to the bottom of this, and you're gonna let me heal you.
Yeah. Well, that's amazing. That's but I guess God knows how to do that, right? To bring us to that point where we're ready. What was your next steps? What was the thing that helped you to heal then? From there, so you hit rock bottom, and then what happened?
Well, I got an intervention from two of my best friends, another friend from church, and one of my pastors. And they showed up at my house and they said, "We love you too much to watch you stay where you are. Let us get you some help." And so there was this residential discipleship program in town that I actually volunteered at. And 2 days prior to that, I had spent the day at the beach with these girls, burying them in the sand, having no idea that 2 days later I would be their roommate. And so I said, no, absolutely not, I'm not going. And 2 hours later, we pulled into the driveway. I didn't even pack my own suitcase. And spent the next year just allowing God to heal me from the inside out.
Yeah.
Getting to the root of everything, getting to the why behind the what, and allowing God to heal those broken places.
Wow. Yeah. Well, that, and that takes courage on the part of your friends too, right?
Yeah, it did, because they were taking a chance that I could never talk to them again, or whatever, but they loved me enough to take that chance. And I was pretty ticked off for a while.
Yeah.
I was at them like, how dare you? But I admire their courage and their willingness. That's true friendship.
Yes.
When they're willing to say, I don't care what you think about me. I love you too much to watch you stay where you are.
Yeah. No, that is true friendship. Even though it's tough and you're wondering, what happens if?
Yeah.
But that they will still step in and do that. That's amazing.
Well, I had expressed to one of my friends that morning, my friend Jennifer, that I was just so tired I didn't want to live anymore. And so, she kind of knew at that point, I've got to do something.
Yeah. Yeah. No, that's when you're at that point, that's like sort of a big neon sign saying, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
It's like a big help sign. Yeah. No, that's.
Yeah.
Wow. So, when I was reading your book, I wrote down one quote, just really spoke to me, and it might be speaking to other people too. But you said, "For years I've been sitting in a cage that I created with the door wide open. I could walk out at any time, yet my fear kept me from doing so, but not anymore." So that sounded like that was a turning point for you. What would you say were the incremental turning points that inspired you to overcome your fears to make such big changes in your life?
Yeah, well, that quote was, we had like group counseling every day.
Yes.
So we're sitting around, and one of these girls is going through this struggle, and she's crying, and like she kept going through the same thing over and over and over again, and she was never getting the point of how to overcome that. And another lady in the group, looked at her and told her that story. You're sitting in a cage with the door wide open, and I just started sobbing, because it was like, she said that for me. She didn't think she said that for me, but to me that was just like, I have been sitting in this cage all of my life, and the door has been open, and I've had the opportunity to walk out, yet I've kept sitting in it, because I think we get so comfortable, and sometimes we just don't know any different.
Yeah.
And so we stay in that cage, and that was a pivotal moment. And it was, for me, because I think everybody heals differently.
Yeah.
For me, it was like it came in stages, and so like every 3 months something big would happen, and it was like I would fight and fight and fight, and I'd come against the wall, and I'd come against the wall, and I'd come against the wall, and then boom, it was like this light bulb would come on, and it was like God would just take a bulldozer and knock the wall down,
Yeah.
Like, I mean, there were gradual steps, but for me it was more like, oh my gosh, I get it, boom, knock the wall down, So yeah, it was, and fear was huge. I had a lot of fears that I spent 3 months alone just working through a list of fears.
Yeah. No, I mean, from hearing your story, Sundi Jo, I wouldn't be surprised that there'd be a lot of fears, right, to work through.
There was a fear of everything: fear of men, fear of marriage, fear of failure, fear of success, fear of rejection. I mean, the list goes on, and I had to go through each one of those fears and recognize the lie behind that fear, and replace it with truth. And I still have to do that.
Yeah. No, that's really good. And so. Okay, no, that's, I think people listening are, they're probably coming to an aha moment themselves, right? And I think that is so important to not hang on to the lies and to embrace the truth, even though it's really tough, even though it's become almost like, self-sabotaging can almost be like a habit. It can be something that it's like this hamster on a wheel, right? Yeah. And the hamster doesn't know how to get off.
Yeah, and sometimes it's just because we don't know any different. Like, I didn't know that I could have a normal life. I didn't know that I could have hope and freedom because I wasn't taught that, and we have to be taught that stuff because sometimes we just don't know. But once you know, and you know that God's power is available to you and that freedom is available to you through Jesus Christ, like you have to make the conscious choice not to go back. Like you can go forward. That doesn't mean that you're not going to struggle, but now you know that it's possible. So you have to make that choice to stay in self-sabotage or to walk towards freedom.
Yeah. No, and that's an important point to come to, right? Just hearing you talk about, the things you had to overcome, that you had to come against these fears and stuff. So what have been some of those biggest challenges? What has been the biggest challenges to overcome? And what has either someone talking to you, because it sounds like you've had a lot of help along the way, right, from different people. So what would be the biggest things that, people that came along to help you, that they did for you, or, stuff that they said, or even resources that they gave you? What were some of those things?
Yeah. Well, first of all, grace. I needed a lot of grace.
Yes.
Because, one friend in particular, my friend Jennifer, who I had prayed specifically I don't remember how long it was before she came into my life, but I had prayed specifically for God to send me a mentor. Yeah. And then he answered that prayer and she showed up, but I didn't know how to deal with that. And so I just kept trying to push her away and push her away and push her away. And she just continued to have grace for me and say, I'm not leaving. That was huge because it built trust. And it helped me realize that there are safe people out there who wanted to help me. So grace was huge. Truth, I needed truth spoken to me. I still need truth spoken to me. Yeah. For instance, the other day somebody said, I said something about if I could just have something nice, or I forget how I said it, but my friend called me out and she's like, stop feeling sorry for yourself. And I'm like, you're right, absolutely, I was feeling sorry for myself. And so I needed truth, I needed grace. I got a lot of counseling. I've read a lot of books, and I still read a lot of books. Joyce Meyer. One amazing thing was a Beth Moore Bible study, Breaking Free.
Oh, I did that one too. Yes.
I'm telling you, I've done that study 3 times, and I swear it's like I've never done it.
Yeah, isn't it amazing?
It was life-changing. So yeah, just being able to process things with friends, to go through my struggles and to be real with those, because I grew up. You're not supposed to have problems. You're not supposed to talk about your problems. Yeah. You keep them to yourself. We pretend like nothing's going on in the family. That big elephant in the room, you just, ignore it. And so I had to get comfortable being real and saying that I really do have struggles and going through those struggles and not stuffing my emotions. And that was huge for me because I was a big stuffer.
Yeah. So was it just people loving on you and sort of asking you questions almost like they're trying to pull teeth? Is that sort of the thing that helped you to open up?
Yeah, it did. And the more questions that they would ask, I would give little answers and see that they were safe. Yes. I would be able to give them more information because they built trust. So it was a time thing. But yeah, asking me questions and probing me, I guess, and trying to get things out of me. Eventually, I was more open to talking about things, and then it just got more comfortable. Yeah. Being able to be real and vulnerable, and realizing that I could be vulnerable.
Yeah. No, that's right, and that's amazing because I can just see that would be true. That you would need that safety. You'd have to know that they were safe first before you could move ahead.
Yeah, because I experienced a lot of unsafety in my life where I did try to confide in people, and they would go tell other people, and so it just, it kind of ruined it for me. And so, yeah, you have to have safe people in your life for sure.
Yeah. No, that's really amazing. So would you say then? Okay, so I have. Sorry, I'm jumping ahead in my mind a little bit. But so what were some key factors that helped you to? Okay, so you went through this healing, through this basically year. I'm sure it was way more than that, but like a really intense year, maybe you'd say.
Yeah.
So was it during that year or was it after that? I'm curious what got you to the point where you felt like, maybe I could help someone else with this. Was it the pain that you had gone through that was kind of a destiny marker for you, showing you more of your purpose? And was it hard to kind of get to that point, or was it just a sort of a natural progression where God just sort of led you step by step? I don't know. I'm just curious.
I think maybe it was a natural progression. I mean, I've always been a person that's wanted to help other people.
Yeah.
I've always been that person ever since I was a little girl that people would come to and confide in. And I guess because I've always been a good secret keeper. And so it kind of comes naturally to walk alongside people and help them. But, yeah, it also was a natural process of, people would ask me questions, or they would see... I would see people and they would come up to me and they say, something looks different. I can see freedom on you. And it's like, really? And so they would ask me questions, and that would turn into, well, let me tell you what God has done for me. And then it was just kind of in the last 4 years, God has just set me on fire to go talk about His grace and His freedom, and that people don't have to keep living in this bondage, and that there's hope, and that there is a next right step. And I'm just excited to be able to do that. And He has given me the gift and talent of communication. And I believe that's, a calling that He has called me to do. And so I just want to do that the best that I can.
Yeah, that's so awesome. I just love it. And I see it on you too, Sundi Jo. So it's just exciting. You got this glow about you.
Good.
It's just wonderful. Exactly. It's wonderful.
Well, Joyce Meyer said once that, our test becomes our testimony. We can't have a testimony without tests.
Yeah.
And so I'm just honored that God is using what I went through to inspire other people, not to share my past or, continuously talk about the pain, but to talk about what comes after that freedom is possible.
Yeah.
And so that part is exciting.
Yeah. Yeah, no kidding. That's just awesome. That's true.
Yeah, and to watch somebody be set free.
Yeah.
Like, to sit across the room from somebody and just watch them understand and get it and see that freedom is possible for them, that it's not just me that can have this, but it's them. It's like, it makes everything worth it.
Yeah. Oh, I can just imagine. That's awesome. That's so great. So, along with, that you've started to share your story, you also started, I think you called it Esther's House, and not too long ago. Would you sort of share about that?
Sure. So the ministry that I graduated from, after I left there, I continued to, walk alongside other women and mentor them, ended up serving on the board, and then the ministry closed, the doors closed. And I was heartbroken because that's where, God just changed me so much there. And it was like to watch these doors close it was devastating. But in the process of that closing, God showed me that He wanted me to continue the mission of that. And I said, absolutely not. I said no as many ways as I could think of to say no. It was too scary.
Yeah.
It was too big. It doesn't make sense. I am not equipped for this. Please find somebody else. I don't want to do this.
Yeah.
And, but people kept bringing it to me, and so I would try to ignore it as much as possible. Well, last March, I went on a mission trip, and, I'm over in this foreign country, and I had this visual of me sitting in this floor around these women, and we're laughing, and we're crying, and it really stuck with me, and so I thought, I wonder what that is. And so I get home from my trip, and 3 days later, I get an email from a friend who said, hey, I've been sitting on this for 3 days. I wanted to share this with you. Well, it was pretty much the same visual that God had given me,
that's so great.
a gajillion miles away.
Yeah.
So I'm just like, okay, I think I'm going to start listening. Well, then a month after that, a friend of mine who was in the program as well, but she didn't complete the program, I saw her at church on a Sunday morning, and hadn't seen her for a while. Hugged her. She looked great. She said hi, and then 6 hours later, I get a phone call that she jumped off a bridge and took her own life.
Oh, yeah.
And she was still battling her addiction, and it just got too hard to fight. And so at that point, I decided, okay, I'm done being disobedient.
Yeah.
And I'm going to do this. And God, specifically spoke to my heart and said, the broken need a place to go.
Yeah.
And so I said, okay, I will do this. I will be obedient, and I'll do this. And so that's kind of how Esther's House was born. And so we're just still in the beginning stages of getting it started, and it's big, but if God wants it, He'll make it happen.
Yeah. That's so great. I mean, and that's just going to help so many people. I'm just sure of it. Because that's true. There are so many broken people that need a place, right?
Yeah. Well, God gave me the opportunity to go to a place and learn about redemption firsthand, and to experience His grace. And if I have the opportunity to give to people what God gave to me, then it's worth it.
Yeah. Yeah, wow, that's so great. So if people wanted to, just came to my mind as you were just talking there, but if they wanted to, give something to help with Esther's House, where would they go to do that?
They can go to our website. It's ehor.org.
ehor.com.
Learn about what we're doing there. You can donate. We would certainly appreciate it. We are going to run on donations only. There's 3 principles we're following. The women get to come for free. We don't take any state or government funding, and we give 10% of all donations back to other ministries.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's really great. Wow. Well, that's wow, Sundi Jo. I'm just so glad that you just shared all of that. I'm processing. So that's why I was, it's just, that's neat that, God can take you from, really feeling like you're in a hellhole, really.
Yeah.
All the way through to a journey of where you feeling His grace and get to a point of such freedom that you just can't help yourself, that you need to share it with others. That's just amazing and just wonderful. So
God is good for sure.
Yeah.
I'm so honored that He's using me in this way,
Yeah. No, that's so terrific. That's so terrific. Okay, so I am sure that people that are listening would be interested in hearing about other, new projects or books that you have on the go, or, future plans that, that you're able to share.
Sure. I am starting a new project right now, and it's called The Next Right Step. And God has really taken me on this path of just focusing on the next right step, of not trying to plan so far ahead that I get so overwhelmed. And so I'm starting this. It's an online course, actually, and it's 7 days to the next right step.
Yeah.
And so it's going to be literally, you get to, I'm going to take you through 7 days of different courses on how to focus on taking the next right step, how to, create goals, how to be accountable, and how to get on the path to focusing on the next right step. So you can learn about that at nextrightstep.net. You can sign up to get notified when the course goes live. We are in the stages of working on that right now, and so I'm excited to see that help people, because it's definitely been life-changing for me.
Yeah. That's so great. That's good. Okay. Well, Sundi Jo, there's so much to process here, but thank you for sharing all your story with us. Yeah.
It is a lot to process.
It is. But it's so good. And I'm sure many people listening, you just really need to get Sundi Jo's book, Dear Dad. It's just amazing. And it actually helps you, it that's what it did for me. It helped me process through some things that I was thinking about as I read your book. And so it's just helpful for, whatever you're dealing with. And so if people want to contact you, Sundi Jo, they just go to your website, sundijo.com.
Yep, sundijo.com, and you can find out all about me there. You can learn about the book. You can learn about, I'd love to come to your church, to your event, to speak. You can you can get a free ebook if you go to my website called Step Away from That Diet. So I'd love for you to come and connect with me and learn more about each other.
Yeah. Oh, that's terrific. And they can also find you on Facebook at Sundi Jo if they want to connect there. Is that right?
Yep. I'm pretty much everywhere: Twitter, Facebook, LinkedIn, Instagram. All places. But you can get if you go to sundijo.com, you can find all of that.
All that. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Okay. No, that's good. Well, thanks so much, Sundi Jo.
Thank you.
It's been awesome to hear your story, and
I appreciate
it. Oh, yes, you're welcome. This has been fun.